Yeah, today is the 12th class, and in today's class, I will be explaining to you people about the local scope and the global scope. Now, the concept of local scope and global scope comes when we start learning functions and all that. What is the meaning of a local and global scope? It comes with respect to variables. When you declare a variable, a variable can be declared inside a function, or a variable can be declared outside a function in the main program. Uh, by now, actually, you people have an idea as to what is the meaning of a global variable and a local variable. By definition, in very simple terms, if you write a function and in the function, if you declare a variable to use it, it becomes a local variable. Anything declared inside a function is a local variable. Anything declared in the main program outside the functions is a global variable. In simple terms, a global variable is something which can be used anywhere in the program. You can use it in the main program anywhere you want. You can use it in any function. If, let us say, you have multiple functions, you have defined a lot of functions in your program, you can use a global variable inside any function without any problems. But a local variable is something which you define it inside a function and you cannot use it in any other place. You have to use that variable inside that function only. You can neither use that variable in another function nor you can use it in the main program. Anything defined locally has to be used locally. Anything defined globally can be used anywhere in the program. So in short, you can remember that. Let us take an example. Okay, you will understand it better. Okay, so I will take an example here. I'll take an example of take a new file and then I'll start writing the program. You know that whatever I start writing from the first column, whatever I start writing from the first column here belongs to the main program. So if I declare a variable x is equals to 100, I can declare a variable, I can declare y is equals to 200. And then I can write z is equals to x plus y. And then I can print z. This is a very, very simple program. This is an extremely simple program where we have declared two variables. We have assigned them some values and then we have added them and put it into a third variable z. Okay, and then I've printed the value of z. Okay, very quickly I want to finish this now. Anything that is defined in the main program has got global scope. Okay, and you all know that I can define variable, I can define functions here. I can define functions. I can define a function called as add, and I can pass a comma b, something like this, and I can put a colon, and then you all know how to write functions in Python. I will save this first. I will say file, save. I will go to the D drive. Here I have kept all my, yeah, I think I've kept them here only. In the D drive only, I have kept all the files. So here I will save this file with extension called as local.py. Let us say the name of my program is local.py. Okay. Okay, so what I've done here is I've defined a function called as add, and then I say s is equals to a plus b, and then I say print s. Okay, very, very simple. Just look at the program. I've defined one function here on the top, and then all this belongs to the main program. So whatever is here is part of the main program, and whatever is defined on the top here is the function, so whatever is inside, written one tab space inside, is part of the function. It belongs to the body of the function, and so on. So here you can see that I've defined a variable called as s. I've defined a variable called as s inside the function. I've not declared this anywhere outside. I've defined it inside the function. So this variable s is a local variable. Anything which is defined inside a function is a local variable. Okay, now similarly, let us say I have uh, a function called as display. Okay, very simple function called as display. And what is this function doing is it is displaying a value hello. Simple, very, very simple function called as display, and it is printing hello, okay, on the screen. That's it. It doesn't do anything more. There is a function called as add. It adds these two parameters that is passed to it, and then it displays the sum of the two numbers and so on. And then what I have here is x and y variables. Then you have x is 100, y is 200, and then I define this and I display it. Okay, so let us first execute this program and see what will be the output. So when I say file save, I go to the command prompt, and here I go to the D drive, and then I write Python local.py, because the name of my file is local, so I write local.py and I say enter. So you can see it displays me 300. Why it displays me 300? Because I'm not calling the functions anywhere. I'm in the main program. You can see here I'm not calling add function anywhere. I'm not calling display function anywhere. So this anyhow will have no meaning at all. I'm not calling it anywhere. So the main program will start executing. So it will initialize x to 100. It will initialize y to 200. Then z is x plus y. So 100 plus 200 is 300. And then I display the value of z. So z is 300. So it displays me 300 here. So the output of the program is 300. Okay, what will happen if I write display here? If I call the function display, so it will display 300, and then it will call the function display. So it will display me hello also, because I'm calling the function display. So file, save, Python. So you can see that it displays me 300 and then displays me hello here. Okay, so because it calls the function display, and display function displays hello. Simple. Now I'm coming to local and global. Okay, now see what I've done here is I've declared a simple variable called as s. Let us say I don't want to add the numbers. I will call this simple. I will call this, and then it doesn't take any. So I write s is equals to 100, or maybe 10,000, and then I say print s. Let me write a very simple program. Okay, so what I have two functions. The name of the first program is, the first function is simple. It doesn't take any parameters. The name of the second function is display. Doesn't take any parameters, so I can directly call them without passing anything. So display I call without passing any parameters, so it displays me the message hello. And similarly, I can also call the function simple, okay, without passing any parameters. What will this simple function do? It will declare a variable s and initialize it to 10,000, and then displays the value of s, that is 10,000. It displays me. Okay, now so when I go to the command prompt and I clear the screen, so you can see now it displays 300 because it does this from here to here. Then it calls display function, so it displays me hello. And then finally this calls the simple function. What does the simple function do? It is only declaring a variable inside it, and then I'm displaying the value there. Now I'm explaining to you people what is the meaning of local and global variables. Yes is a variable that is declared inside the simple function. Okay, what will happen if I try to do this? Print s. If I try to do, let us say I want to comment this, so I put a, you all know that you have to put a hash symbol before a statement to comment it. Means that particular statement will not get executed. Okay, so what I've done is I've commented this one, so it is as good as removing, so I'll remove it only, no problem. And then I'm printing the value of s. Where I'm printing it outside in the main program. In the main program, I'm printing the value of s. You can see here I'm printing the value of s, where s is defined inside the function, but I'm printing it outside. What I'm doing is I'm trying to access a local variable. I'm trying to access a local variable in the main program. This is the main program here, which starts from the first line is the main program, which is written inside the function is the function body. You know that. So I've declared a local variable inside the simple function, and I'm trying to display that here. I'm trying to access it, use it in the main program. Now let us see what will happen. So file, save. So when I go and execute this, so it gives me an error. First, it displays 300 easily, no problem. It displays hello also, no problem. But third, it says name s is not defined. So you can see that it is saying that s, the variable s is not defined. Why? Obviously, because it is defined inside a function and you're trying to use it. So any variable that is defined inside a function doesn't have global scope. You cannot use it anywhere in the program. You can only use it inside that function. So when you say print s here it is fine, no problem. You can do that. But if you try to use it outside, then it will give you an error. Okay. So as long as when you are using it here, no problem. So you can call simple function here, and you can use it here, no problem. So file, when I save it, now it will definitely display you the output. It will display you 10,000 because you are using that s inside that function only, but not outside it. So this is the concept of local variables. Anything defined inside a function can be used only inside the function. So for example, here in this display function also, let us say I declare a variable called as e and I initialize it 3.10. And then if I try to use that here, print e, if I print it outside, remember this e is also a local variable because I've declared it inside this function. So file, save, I come here, it will definitely display me an error saying that E is not defined because you're trying to use it outside in the main function, but you have declared E inside the display function. Okay, so E is a local variable, S is a local variable. Anything which is declared inside the function is a local variable. Now, you can see that X is declared here, Y is declared here. So I remove those two things, I put it, let us say, on the top here. Okay, I put it on the top, and then same thing. Okay, whether you write it on the top of the functions or you write it below that functions, it is all one and the same only. Okay, so you can, but it is starting from the first line. That is important. So I've declared two variables, X and Y. Remember, these are global variables because you have declared them outside the functions. So what will happen? What will happen if I say print X? I'm trying to use a global variable inside a function. I'm printing X. X is defined outside the function, but it has global scope. It has got global scope. And from function display, I will remove this. Yeah, no, I'll just comment this here. Yes, I don't need it. And this also, I don't need it right now. I don't need it right now. And then what I say is print Y. So when I call function simple, it will display the value of X. If I call function display, it will display the value of Y. Is this allowed is my question. My question is this thing allowed? I'm trying to use a global variable inside a function. Okay, so what I do here is, let us say I remove this, I don't want that. So first what I do is I call display function, then I call display function, then I call simple function. So when the display function is called, it should display me the value of Y. When I call the simple function, it should display me the value of X. Okay, so file, save, I go to this, I clear the screen. So you can see that it displays me the value of, I'm calling the display function first. So display function is displaying the value of Y. What is the value of Y? 200. 200 gets displayed. Then I'm calling the simple function. The simple function is displaying the value of X. So it is displaying 100, and then it stops the program. So you can see that without any errors, it executed. Why? Because you can access a global variable inside a function, but you cannot access a local variable outside the function. Not possible. So whenever you declare a variable outside functions, when you declare them, you can use this X here also, no problem. You can use that X here also, no problem. In any function, let us say you have 10 functions. You can use X variable in all the functions, no problem. Okay, so this is the concept of local and global variables. Global variables are something which is declared in the main program. Local variables are declared inside the function. That's it. So this is the concept of local variables and global variables. Okay, so all that. Local variables cannot be used in global scope. Of course, I explained this to you. Local variables which are declared inside a function cannot be used in global scope. Cannot be used in global scope means I cannot use this variable S here. I cannot do this. I cannot do this. You all know I cannot do this. Okay, so if I say print S, I cannot do this because S is a locally declared variable. I cannot use it in a global scope. I cannot use it in a global scope. I cannot use it in the main program. So this will not be allowed because it will give me an error. That is what it means here. Local variables cannot be used in global scope. Okay, so they have given one example over here. You can just understand the example that I have given you. Okay, now local scope cannot use variables in other local scopes. Yeah, this is another thing. Local scope cannot be used in another local scope, which means that I have declared this variable here S in this function simple. Can I do this? Can I do print S here like this? I cannot do this. I have declared this variable S in this function simple, but I'm trying to display this variable S in another function. This is also not allowed. This is also not allowed. This also will give you an error. You are trying to declare this variable. Remember that in which function you define this variable, in that function only you can use this variable. You cannot use this in the global scope here like this outside in the main program, that I have told you already. And you cannot use this local variable of this function in this. You cannot do this. Print S you cannot do. So that is what it means. It means that if I try to run this program, remember it will give me an error. I will save this program, file, save. If I try to run this program, you will see the output. So it tells you that name s is not defined because you're trying to use this variable s here, which is defined in another function. That's why. So that is what is the meaning of local scopes. Local scopes means local variables cannot use variables in other local scopes. Okay, and they've given one example here. The one which I gave you, that also you can use, no problem. Next, after that, global variables can be read from a local scope. I explained to you this, that if I declare a variable x, outside, I can print x in local scope. X is having a global scope. I can use it inside a function, no problem. That is what it means. Global variables can be read from local scope. Okay, so they've given one example here. There is a variable called as eggs, and then it is starting from the first line. You can see that, and I'm assigning it a value 42, and I'm printing eggs here. I'm printing eggs here in spam function. This is allowed, no problem, because eggs is defined globally, and I'm trying to use it inside a function. This is possible, no problem. Next, local and global variables with the same name. Let us say you have a local variable and a global variable. Let us say you define one more variable here, x. Okay, let us say you're defining, let us take only one example, one function only. What I have here is, when I declare a variable like this, x is 100, it is in the global scope because it is in the main program. And then again, what I do here is I do x is equals to 10,000. So there are two variables with the same name. Here also there is x, here also there is x. Okay, when I say print x here, what should get displayed? Will it display 10,000 as the value, or will it display 100 as the value? When I call the simple function, print x will display what? Will it assume the value of x to be 10,000 or 100? This is what we have to understand. So if I do file, save this, go and execute the program, I'll clear the screen. It will display me 10,000. So when I use a variable inside a function, it will always assume it to be the local variable. It will always assume it to be the local variable. Okay. If at all, let us say, okay, and then if I print x here, so there is a print x statement inside the function. So when it is inside the function, it will display me 10,000. And then when it is outside the function, I will remove this, I'll put it here. Okay, now let us run this program. So you can see that it displayed me 10,000 first and 100. Why did it display me 10,000 first? Is because I told you that when it is inside the function and when you use a variable inside the function, it will refer to the local variable. But when you print the value of x in the main scope, in the main program, it will refer to the global variable x. So you can see that this x is global variable, and what value is assigned to it? 100. So when I print x, it should display me 100 only because it is referring to the global variable. Inside the function, I'm declaring x once again. Now this x is a local x, and I'm assigning the value 10,000. And when I say print x, it should display me 10,000. So in short, what I want to tell you people is that when you use a variable inside a function, it will refer to the local variable. But when you use a variable in the global scope, it will use the global variable. So inside, when I print the value of x, it will definitely refer to this x. And when I print the value of x outside in the global scope, it will refer to this particular variable. So that is what it means here. Local and global variables with the same name. So you can see there is one example over here. This example is a little complicated, okay, which they have written. What I explained to you here, this is more simple. There is a variable x globally declared, and there's a variable x which is locally declared. When I display or when I use this x inside the function, it will refer to this x. It will not assume here x to be 100. Though there is one global variable called as x and it is 100. But here when you use the value of x, it will refer to this x. And then when you refer to the variable x in the main scope, in the global scope, it will refer to the, of course, the global variable, not the variable which is inside the function. So this is the meaning of local variables and global variables having the same name. Okay, I hope this is clear. Next comes the global statement. For example, let us say you want to change the value of this x. For example, let us say you want to change the value of this x. You want to change the value of this x inside the function. If you want to change the value of this x inside the function, you are already doing it here. You are already putting x is equals to 10,000. If you think that by doing this x is equals to 10,000, it will change the value of this global x, you have already seen the output. When I say print x, it is displaying me 100. It is not displaying me 10,000. But using the function, I want to change the value of this global x. How to do it? So you have to simply use the global statement. You have to write global x. You have to write global x is equals to 10,000. Now, this global variable x will change its value from 100 to 10,000, and then I will display the value of x, and then when I say print x here, even this x will display me 10,000, because when I do global x is equals to 10,000, it is actually changing the value of the global variable. So we can use the global keyword, we can use a global statement to change the value of the global variable. Let us see, file, save. When I go here, okay, there is a little problem here. The syntax is a little different. I simply have to say global x and then that. Okay, so I have to say global x and then I have to say x is equals to 10,000. This is the syntax. You cannot say global, you cannot write global here. You have to first say global x and then you have to write x is equals to 10,000. So file, save. So when I go here, when I executed this program, you can see that when I execute it first in the function, when I call simple function, it will change the value of this x, it will display x, so it will display 10,000 first time. And then here when I say print x, it should actually display me 100. No, but no, the function simple has already changed the value of x to 10,000, because I'm referring this, I'm saying that this x is actually the global x. So when I say x is equals to 10,000, it is actually changing the value of the global variable. And that's why you are able to see both of them have displayed as 10,000 and 10,000. So if there is a local variable called as x in the simple function, you can still refer to that variable as global x and you can change the value. Okay, so I hope this is clear to all of you. The global statement, we can use a global keyword followed by the name of the variable, then assign any value, the global variable value will change. Okay, so that's about the global scope and local scope of variables. Very quickly, I will revise what we have studied today. I explained to you people the meaning of a global variable and a local variable. A local variable is something which is defined inside the function. You cannot use it in the global scope. In the main program, you cannot use it. It will give you an error. Global variables are those variables which are defined in the main program. You can use them in functions. Any function you can use them, no problem. Okay, that is what we studied. Now let us go to the next part, that is exception handling. Exception handling, okay, using in Python. Exception handling is a concept which, in fact, many programming languages support. What is the meaning of exception handling? Before we understand what is the meaning of exception handling, we have to understand what is the meaning of an error and which are the different types of errors that can happen in your program. In your program, you can have different types of errors. You can have errors like, basically, broadly, errors are defined as syntax errors and logical errors. Syntax errors and logical errors. Syntax errors, and you can also call them as runtime errors. Errors that occur at runtime are called as runtime errors. And syntax errors are those which are actually told to you when you compile the program. Okay, when you try to compile the program, at that time it will give you an error. It's because the syntax is not right. For example, I will show you one example of a syntax error. Okay, here, very simple program I will take. I'll take x is equals to 100, y is equals to 200, and then I say print x plus y. Okay, this is a simple program. What is the name of the program? It is local.py. So when I execute this program, you can see it displays me the value 300. The output is 300 here. Why? Because x plus y is 300. Now what will happen if I do this? prnt. Look at the spelling. prnt it is. File, save, and run. Do you think this program will execute? It will give you an error. It will say name prnt is not defined. Of course, obviously, prnt is not a statement. Print is a statement. print is a statement. prnt is not a statement. So if you have these type of errors in your program, it is called as syntax error. Error in your syntax. error in the grammar of the program. Okay, let us say I write this print correctly, but I forget to put this parenthesis. So my program is this much: x is equals to 100, y is equals to 200. Print, name is correct. Open the bracket and then x plus y. I don't put the bracket here. Do you think this program will work? I'll save. I go here, execute. It says unexpected end of file while parsing. So it knows on line 4 there is an error. Okay, these type of errors when you do in a program, are called as syntax errors. Errors in the grammar of the program, in the syntax of the program. Missing parentheses, missing spelling mistakes in the keywords. All these are syntax errors. What are logical errors? Logical errors are those errors which happens at runtime. Okay, the program is executing properly. First it executes this, then it executes that, then it executes this, and then so on. And at one point there is a logical error. Let us say, for example, you are trying to access an array. The size of the array is 5. Let us say the size of the array is 5, which means that in the array there are 5 elements. And at one point of time in the program, you are trying to access the 10th element of the array. Is that possible? The size of the array is 5, which means that there are only 5 elements in the array. And at one point in the program, you are trying to access the 10th element of the array. It will give you an error. It will tell you that array index out of bound. It will tell you this element in the array does not exist. So when you try to do something like that, when you try to access an element of the array, then it gives you an error if you try to access element of the array which does not exist. This is only one simple example. Another example I will give you. Let us say using Python, you are trying to open a text file. Let us say there is a text file which you want to open and read the content of that text file. In Python, it is possible. You must have studied that in C programming language, handling files. You can open the file by giving the file name, then you can read the content of the file, and then you can display the content of the file, and then you can close the file. Normally, that is what we do when we work with files. Let us say I'm writing a Python program to open a file and read the content of that file. To open the file, you have to, of course, give a name of the file. Let us say the name of the file is data.txt. And normally in Python, what we do is we open the file like this. We say f is equals to open, and then we specify the name of the file. Let us say the name of the file is data.txt. So I open the file, and then f dot read. If I say f dot read, d is equals to f dot read. So simple, only 2 lines of code. In Python, it is that simple. Okay, of course, here you have to specify in what mode you are opening it, read mode, write mode, all that. It's simple. So data.txt file is there. I open it in the read mode, and then f.read will read the content of the tape, and then it will put it into d. And then if I say print d, it should display me the value of this d. What I'm explaining you is what is runtime error. Now let us say this program is very simple. It executes. If there is a file called as data.txt, it will read the content of that file, and then it will put it into this variable d, and then I will display the value of d. Whatever is there in the file will get displayed to me. Let us say I'm sure that the name of the file is data. What if I write it like this? dat.txt. The name of the file is data, but how I'm opening it here? By putting a wrong name. I'm putting dat.txt. So this is not a syntax error. This is not a syntax error. Syntax, as far as the syntax is concerned, everything is correct. Open function is correct. Read function is correct. Print is fine. Parentheses are okay. Everything is fine. No error in the syntax. But the name of the file is wrong. This is an error that will be informed to you when the program starts executing. Runtime. When the program is running, at that time it will give you an error saying that this file dat.txt is not found. It will give you that error. Okay, so any error that occurs at runtime is called as a runtime error. Some examples are array index out of bound. You try to access an element of the array which does not exist. You try to open a file which does not exist. You try to divide a number by 0. So these are some examples of runtime errors. So now that we have understood what is the meaning of an error, 2 types of errors are there: syntax errors, which are errors in the syntax of the program, missing parentheses, spelling mistakes, all that are syntax errors. And next is runtime errors, errors that occur at runtime. Now, what is exception handling? Exception handling is a technique, or it is a facility available in any programming language to handle runtime errors. Exception handling is a concept which is available in all programming languages. It is available in C++, it is available in Java, it is available in C Sharp, it is available in Python. Why do we need this exception handling? We need exception handling to handle runtime errors. Then you will ask me a question, why do we need to handle runtime errors? Why do we need to handle runtime errors? Now see, let us say you have some statements here. X is equals to 100, Y is equals to 200. Then here what you do is you write Z is equals to X plus Y, and then you write print Z. Look at this program. What you are doing is you are initializing two variables on the top here, then you're opening a file here, and then you're performing the addition of these two numbers here, and then you're stopping. Now, you know what will happen when you start executing the program. When you start executing the program will first execute this statement, then it will execute this statement, then it will come here. It will come here, and then it will find that there is a runtime error. You're trying to open a file which does not exist. So the program will cause a runtime error on this line. What do you think? The program will continue executing from the next line? No. The moment it executes a runtime error, it encounters a runtime error, the program will immediately stop. It will not execute the remaining program. It will not execute the remaining program. It will not execute the remaining statements in the program. So all these statements will not get executed because it has caused a runtime error on this line. Exception handling will allow you to continue the execution even if there is a runtime error. So with the concept of exception handling, you can continue to execute the remaining statements of the program from wherever you want, even after a runtime error has been encountered. So it will execute this without any problem. It will execute this without any problem. It will come here. It will cause a runtime error because dat.txt file is not present. But you don't want the program to stop here. You want it to start executing from here because you still want it to add X and Y and display the value of Z. So you can do that using exception handling. You can do that using exception handling. What happens in exception handling is we use some keywords. We use keywords like try, and then we use keyword called as except. In Java, you know, we use the try and catch block. Try, catch, finally, these things we use. But in Python, it is a little different. We use two keywords, try and except. Except, we use the except keyword. Except is a keyword, remember. Okay, and how do we do it? We do it like this. Except, exception, except, divide, okay, zero, divide, division, error, all that. So these are keywords which we have to use, except this. And then in case if there is an error, then print hello, and then after that it will continue to execute this. Look at this now. So we have 1 minute left now. I'll just explain and I will continue again in the next class. So we have variables X and Y defined here. So the statements which you think will throw you a runtime error should be written inside the try block. So the try block, you start writing it by writing the try keyword followed by a colon, and then whatever is in the try block should be written one tab space inside. You all know block of code should be defined one tab space inside. So from here to here is the try block, and then you have the except block. It will catch an error, and then in case if let us say these statements execute properly, no problem, this will not get executed. If these three statements execute without any problems, no problem, then it will not execute this. In case if there is any error here in any of these three lines, it will execute this statement here, except block it will execute, and then it will continue executing the remaining part. So in case if let us say there is an error, if no error in these three, it will execute this, no problem, then it will execute this and stop. If there is a problem in this particular statement here, then it will skip this, it will not execute this and this, it will execute this, then it will continue to execute this and this. exactly like try and catch block in Java. If you know that there is any statement which might throw a runtime error, we use exception. So we will stop here. I will continue again in the next class. Okay, I will give you some more examples on that. Okay, so bye bye. Have a nice day, all of you.